to the Thursday night weekend preview brought to you by D1Baseball.com. I'm your host, Michael Patrick Rooney III, and I just need to shut up and introduce the gentleman who's in first place and just running away and hiding with this competition, the great Aaron Fitt. And Fitzy, let me give you your bona fides. First place with a record of 34-16, coming off a 10-1 week. All hail Aaron J. Fitt.
You know, there were some people in our group that were giving me a hard time because they said I didn't get my picks in early enough and that I was poaching off their picks. And so I said, fine, all right, I'll make my picks first this week. And what did I do? 10-1, baby. That's what I'm saying. I'm the greatest of all time, Bruins. Greatest of all time.
The greatest of all time. You're the Muhammad Ali of our weekly picks. There's no question.
That's right.
Kendall, you're having a nice slate too. You're at 31 wins, which is good for third place. But as Ricky Bobby would say, you're first or you're last. But
I'm third place. I'm third place in week 6. I'm not worried about it at all. If he wants to celebrate a first place at week 6, go for it.
You want to crown him? Crown him.
Exactly. Fitzy, you know what they do with third place trophies in East Texas? They take them to the swap meet. Is what they do. That's not acceptable.
We have like a ceremonial burning.
Yeah, that's right. For me, I just want to get out. I want to not finish last right now. Team Rooney, we got some serious. We got to go on a retreat or something. We got a lot of questions.
I have a question for you. I have a question for you to kind of get this started in perfect fashion.
Okay.
So I saw some tweets over the weekend from Leah Van, who's like a beat writer for LSU. She was asking people in Gainesville for like recommendations, and somebody responded with like, "There's three Wawas in Gainesville." Like, has Wawa always been in Gainesville? I've never noticed it.
Well, it's interesting. Wawa, obviously, even though it's a global brand, they have not opened stores globally, even though they could have. It's family-owned. They're not even publicly held. But because so many Philadelphians go to Clearwater, for spring training, there is a Florida contingent or a Philly contingent in Florida. So, it's matriculated to Florida. And that's the only thing I can think of is that it's kind of, hey, they probably said, hey, while we're in Clearwater, let's just dabble a little bit more in Florida. But, good on you, people of Gainesville. Your world has gotten much better.
I think you should go to Gainesville and do the weekend preview show live with Sully in front of a Wawa.
Done and done. Like, you just name
That'd be awesome.
Weekend.
I feel like Sully would be a Wawa guy.
Oh, heck yeah, because he's, he's all about the steak and not about the sizzle, right? Like, let's just win, baby. Fitzy, you look like you've got something to say over there.
I don't have any opinion on Wawa or Buc-ee's. You guys can have this nonsense conversation every week. I'm just going to tune out.
Isn't there a Buc-ee's in North Carolina now?
I've got no. They were trying to build one, I think, off I-85, and there was a big controversy because of environmental concerns or something. I don't know where that stands right now. But listen, I mean, we got Sheets here. I don't have a strong opinion about Sheets either. I don't like the Z at the end. I think that's kind of annoying.
What's it called?
Name.
Sheets. It's the Wawa knockoff.
Yeah, that sounds very cheap.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's the Pittsburgh version of
we're talking about gas stations here, guys. Anyone who gets excited about a freaking gas station needs to kind of get a sense of perspective. That's all I'm saying, Ruth.
That's still the line of the year from the D1 Players Society, and I'm going to credit Trey Faltini saying that Buc-ee's is what would happen if a gas station and Walmart made a baby. I mean that may be the line of the college season right now.
Can we call Ben Joyce the gas station?
You know what? As much as I like Pitching Ninja, I'm not 100% bought into the volunteer fireman for Ben Joyce. Did you see that? That's the nickname he's anointed him. It's too long.
Fireman.
It's too long.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like if you can touch 104, the word volunteer should not be attached to your name.
That's fair. Yeah, Pitching Ninjas, he's money all the way through. I mean, like, he's awesome. I'm not feeling that one. So, boys, why don't we do a couple questions and then we'll get to the picks. I want to focus on the weekly picks tonight, mostly because people lose their coconuts over these things. I mean, I felt like the entire universe. I was prepared to get an email from the president of the University of Miami last week. I mean, they were, and then next thing I know, Fitzy's got a free Mark Light shakes for life. I didn't even know that was on the table. I would have totally changed my pick on that. So well done, Fitzy.
And I will say that, I think a week or two earlier, Kendall and I had the audacity to pick against the University of Virginia at Duke. And as we all know, UVA, the greatest college baseball team of all time. and we had to wear that one. Hey, UVA, they won that series, and
They did.
We heard about it.
Oh,
Can
no,
I say this too though?
please.
When you come at me on Twitter and start like talking smack, I'm looking at you at Canes Baseball about how we don't respect. You gave yourself the kiss of death. The next day, Clemson lit you up like a Christmas tree. So be careful. Southern Miss fans, Southern Miss fans came after me. I mean, they were Xing me out on the picks, like doing graphics with my name X'd out because I dare pick Dallas Baptist. Dallas Baptist sweeps them, and everybody from that point on is so. Just be careful.
It is funny because I mean, you
it really is awesome.
Oh, of course, it's all fun,
great social media.
Well, I mean, you got to pick somebody. I mean, it's a 50-50 chance somebody's going to win the series most of the time. Sometimes it's a tie, but and we're not. I mean, it's baseball, right? Like it's just we're not clairvoyant. I mean, you got to pick somebody. Sometimes you're going to be right, and sometimes you're going to be wrong. And like either way, is not an affront to anybody. but people get pretty wound up about it.
I thought Runes was the everlasting know-it-all.
I am terrible at this, and I have to say though, like the weekly picks giveth, they taketh away. Like last year, I turned into like a the voodoo doll for Stanford baseball because I was the only of the 9 of us that picked them to win at Oregon, which I needed because I was also the person that picked Stanford to finish 9th in the Pac-12 just 2.5 months earlier. So again, the weekly picks is a great way to save face as well, but. I think I'd summarize this session, KR, with your great line that, the people that have come at you during this, like, hey, be careful cornering bears now. Like that's, like not good policy.
Don't corner someone from East Texas.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. So, and by the way, like the Helium guys do an amazing job with the Twitter, Instagram, like the graphic with the logos in there. Like it's so sharp. And there's 9 of us. I do think that while we're just way off of the radar here, we should think about, because Stephen Schock is not, hello, Dan Shed in the chat. Stephen Schock's not one of the 9 pickers. We should consider European soccer relegation for next year. So, and I say that as the person fairly likely to get relegated. But if you finish 9th, you're out and the Shockmaster's in for next year. I'm willing to, maybe we need to speak to the board about that.
That's an interesting idea. I mean, because, on the one hand, we could just go to a 10th picker, but on the other hand, relegation is kind of fun. I like this idea.
Yeah, I think we should consider it. You know what we could do? We could really we'll workshop this because we like to workshop things, but we could really do European soccer where we could say the final 2 or 3 spots get relegated and there's like a playoff for the relegation. So like for the teams that those of us who are just out of it at the end, we then go into a relegation playoff. So we could get kind of swanky with this thing.
All right, so we'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's right. We got work to do there. We've done a very nice job on the nicknames, if I could toot our own horn. So we've got some workshop bandwidth available. Boys, let's do some questions. Tyler Doggett and Dodgett. I'm gonna say Dodgett is how you say your name, Tyler.
Doggett.
You're saying Doggett? I'm saying Dodgett.
Yes.
What do you say, Fitzy? Break the tie.
I don't. Where are we looking here? I don't even see
in the chat.
Under chat.
Doggett.
Welcome to Restream for the first time.
So you saying Doggett or Dodgett?
Definitely Doggett.
Doggett.
2 G's. Like doggone.
Tyler,
you
settle the tie.
You wouldn't say dodgone. You'd say doggone. It's Doggett.
Maybe it's
French.
Like maybe it's Dage.
It was. I'm blaming Fitzy. This is not. Double G's is not on the D1 style sheet. So how am I supposed to know how to pronounce that?
I'm feeling feisty tonight, Bruce. I'm going to give it to you guys.
Quentin Miller.
Maybe it's Tale Dage.
No, it's not. All right, so let's answer. Oh gosh, Tyler, work with me one time, Tyler. For God's sakes. Isn't it enough that they're in 1st and 3rd place in the weekly picks? Come on, Tyler. You had a real opportunity there to just have us pronounce your name wrong for the sake of Mike Rooney, but you opted in a different way. Hey, let's answer Tyler's question now that I've butchered his last name. How many people are in Oxford this weekend? A lot? Anybody? What do you think, Kendall? What is that place?
All of them?
Yeah, all of the people. What are they getting in there? Is it 12,000, 15,000? What is that joint getting for a sellout?
I think they can get like 11 or 12.
I want to say that they list the sellout as like 10,600, something like
Oh,
that.
really?
I
Okay.
think I want to say they listed under 11, but I could be mistaken about that. So I should probably be careful.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that series is really interesting in the sense that, like, I picked Tennessee, and actually feel pretty good about that pick, just because I think they're playing. I think they're playing the better baseball right now. But it's going to be really interesting, fellas, to see how Chase Burns and Drew Beam handle that atmosphere. Because if you think back to Shriners, they pitched really well. But I mean, Texas had some fans there, but it wasn't like it's going to be in Oxford this weekend. So that's a little bit different challenge for those two guys.
Hey, Chase Dollander, has he pitched in an environment like that? He's a transfer
Yeah,
from the
Yeah.
Sun Belt, the Fun Belt.
yeah.
By the way,
Go ahead,
official
Fitzy.
capacity of Swayze Field is 10,715. So I was pretty close there. But the record crowd that they've had, according to Wikipedia, is 12,152. That was for an April game against LSU. So there you go.
Hmm.
Hey, so let me ask you guys this question. I asked Berkey this question as a former SEC player. I won't give you his answer till you answer it. So the question is this: is playing in Oxford for an opposing player, is it more fun or is it more intimidating? How would you which
Interesting.
way would you swing the meter there?
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
it's more fun, but I mean, like I don't think that makes it any like easier for like an opposing pitcher because like there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of yelling, and like it's just it's a new thing for a young pitcher.
Yeah, that's a good point. You lose the zone. You lose the zone. 11,000 friendly people is still not a good feeling. Go
But
ahead, Fitzy.
I think that's a good point. I think it feels like a fun place to play. It doesn't feel like they're like being nasty to you. Like you get that at certain other places. I won't name any names, but there's other places where I can't imagine it's very fun because they're just not very nice.
Right.
I don't get that sense at Ole Miss. It just feels like a big party, and you're right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
What's better than that?
Yeah, that's a good point. Hey, let's do our other question. Hey, by the way, anyone listening or watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel there. That is really, really helpful. It's a very important metric for a company like ours. The question that we got on YouTube is from Nedland31 or Nedland31. So here's the question from Mr. Land31. Tennessee is a brutal gauntlet the next 2 weekends. They're at Ole Miss, then at Vandy. What do you see as far as their chances to steal one of these series? If so, which one? I would say steal is not the verb that I would use. I consider them the favorite in both series. What say you two?
Yeah, I mean, I feel better about the Ole Miss series. I think in a rivalry series in Nashville, I think Vanderbilt's going to play really well. I think I'd probably still pick Tennessee right now, but I have less conviction about them winning that series than I do Ole Miss. I think they match up better with Ole Miss.
Fair, Fitzy?
Yeah, I mean, they're 2 road series against top 5 opponents. I mean, the home team's got to be the favorite for me. I mean, Kendall with the vote of no confidence in number 1 ranked Ole Miss right here. I have a lot of confidence in Ole Miss, and I think that people are probably very excited about Tennessee right now. I get it. What are they, 19-1, something like that? 20-1, 20-1. It's pretty
Yeah.
good.
That's not bad, huh?
But I still
I think
believe
is it true that you hate Tennessee?
Yeah, hate Tennessee. The worst.
Hopefully, Chris from Louisville is not
Yeah.
listening. But I would say that it's a great. It is the series this weekend, right? It's just a great. I don't think either series is the series is not a. We're not coming to a conclusion on either team except for hey, they're both Omaha caliber clubs.
Yeah,
But
and if Tennessee were the home team, I would say they're the favorite in both these series. But as it is, we're talking about top 5 matchups. I'm going to take the home team most of the time.
I will say this: I was talking to actually kind of curious. Aaron, did you see Diamond start last week?
I did.
So, what were your thoughts? And it was kind of interesting. I was talking to Chase Parham, a longtime beat writer for Ole Miss, and that was one of the concerns he seemed to have. Was just like he said, the Diamond has just kind of been kind of a little hot, a little cold, little hot, little cold, and they need a little bit more consistency out of him.
Yes, and I don't know exactly, what the deal is with him because I know 2 weeks ago he was on a pitch count, but it doesn't look like he's missed a start this year. So I'm not sure if he was dealing with some kind of tenderness or something. I just don't have the answer to that, but I do know that he was just okay at Auburn. I mean, maybe that's putting it generously. He gave up 5 runs and 4 walks and 3 1/3, so he was maybe less than okay. But the stuff was just okay. I mean, it was fine, right? It was 91, 93, touch of 4. I don't feel like the fastball feels a little light to me. Maybe plays a little below its velocity. Maybe one of those little true. He's got to have that slider going, and he's got a very good slider when it's on. And changeup is there at times, but it's kind of hit or miss. I didn't think he had the greatest feel for that pitch. So, yeah, I mean, it certainly wasn't real sharp. The thing I'm curious about is, what happened to Drew McDaniel? I mean,
yeah, right. I mean, he was up to like
was
97 in Hoover last year.
he's had, he's always tantalized you with the stuff, and the metrics love him. It's a high spin fastball. It's a tight high spin breaking ball. He came out of the bullpen in that game where they're getting blown out by Auburn, and they just let him wear it for 2 innings. And the game's already out of hand, and they just left him out there, and he gave up 6 runs on 8 hits in 2 innings. And it's just like the stuff was down, and it's just, this was a guy that we thought could be their Sunday guy, and clearly right now he's just kind of mop up duty, and I don't get that. I don't get that at all. But they bounced back. Give him credit. They bounced back. Jack Doherty gave him a great start, and then the bullpen with Hunter Elliott and Brandon Johnson got it done. So they could win that game on Saturday to take that series. So I know their pitching isn't as sexy as it has been. They don't have Nikhazy and Hoagland. They don't have the true ace guys. But I like their bullpen depth and the way they can mix and match. I think they've got enough pieces there on the mound.
That's what I'm most curious about for this weekend. Is I'm really curious to see. Ole Miss is a great place to hit. It's not Williamsport like Tennessee plays at, but it's still a really good place to hit. But I'm really curious to see. I probably should calm down on the negativity towards Lindsey Nelson Stadium. It's really a wonderful place to watch a college baseball game.
Chris in Louisville is going to be here shortly.
Yeah, every
you're
fly
the
ball.
one. You're the one who's got a problem with Tennessee. You keep bragging on their stadium every chance you get.
I mean, every fly ball is a home run. It's a joke. Like there's no like F8. You can just leave that at home. It ain't happening. But anyway, they can really hit too. That's the other part of it. But so I'm really curious to see Ole Miss's pitching staff. Like this is a real ferocious test for those guys. And so I'm just really curious to see, how that plays out over the course of a weekend. Because of course, to be the national champion, you don't have to sweep everybody. You have to win weekends. And so you don't need 12, Roger Clemens. You need to be able to win weekends. So what Fitzy, you actually were the one that picked Ole Miss, right?
I was. Was I the only one who did? I didn't even look at the
No, and
F.
shotgun.
Okay, yeah, we're playing spoiler on this, but yeah, so 3 of us picked. I mean, which I'm shocked. That's one thing I'm surprised by. It's one thing, like I think a number of us in the picks this week picked the home team unranked against a ranked opponent, but that's one thing, you're picking the home team. But this is the number 1 team at home, and they were not the popular pick this weekend. I found that surprising. I just think people are in love with Tennessee right now. And,
yes.
And I get it. They've had a great
Definitely
year. They're 20-1. They're good. But I think this is the week where they really get tested. And I think Ole Miss is going to answer that challenge.
Fitzy, I do think you're the most convicted person on Tennessee or Ole Miss's pitching. I feel like the rest of us, unfair for me to speak for the group, I feel like the rest of us do not have the same conviction you have. Now, but again, you're the one that's seen them too, right? Like the rest of us are just like, I'll be honest, like John Gaddis, I see Southland pitcher pitching on Friday nights and I don't believe he was Southland pitcher. Well, maybe he was Southland pitcher of the year. I don't even know. But either way, like Southland to Friday night in the SEC, that's a big jump. And so I have skepticism there, but hey, that's why we play the games.
But he's got, I mean, it's not blow you away fastball velocity, but his ball moves. His changeup is a real pitch, and he can spin 2 different breaking balls. I mean, it's a 4-pitch lefty. Like we've seen a lot of lefties with worse stuff than that guy has succeed in the SEC. I'm in on that guy.
Hey, but Kike H09's got a question. What do you all think about the Big South? I'll make a statement. It feels like Campbell's roster is significantly better than the rest of the league. Fair, or am I going too far there?
Oh, definitely. There's no question. It's not even close. I mean, the Campbell's going to make a run in Big South play. This one you could put on the board. I know Campbell does not have a good record right now. Are they even back to 500? I know they were below 5. They're 9-11. They played a tough schedule, but some of these are just head scratchers. Like they lost the first series to App State, and some other ones mixed in here that I keep thinking they're going to make a run, and they are going to. They're going to be a buzzsaw in the Big South. They're battle tested. They have, two players who are going to be top 50 picks in the draft, Thomas Harrington and Zach Nato. They're going to make a run. They're going to win this league by at least 5.5 games.
Oh, I like it. The new SID at Ole Miss, I think he's new. Mitch Praxel. Does that sound? He's new. This is first year for him. Does that sound right to you guys?
Gets Kendall's beat. Kendall, what do you got on the
I don't recognize Mitch's name. You're muted, KR.
I said Martha does not know the answer to that question.
No, you're beat. No, you're beat.
No, you're beat. Well, anyway, Jack Doherty is not in the pronunciation guide, so I'm just going Northeast. I'm calling him Jack Doherty until somebody stops me. So there you go.
I think it's
it is, but it is Doherty. And by the way, it's also Ole Miss and not Old Miss.
Did I say Old Miss?
You said Ole Miss.
That's a classic Runesism right there. I like that. There's a pronunciation guide at the Wawa when you fill up, and it's got all the wrong pronunciations for everything.
Yes.
That's
by the way,
right? That's way.
There, Jack Doherty's name. There is a Cardinal Doherty High School in the city of Philadelphia. Actually, I think it might be closed now. So it's Cardinal Doherty. Like you cannot, if you lined up 10 trillion Philadelphians, 10 trillion of them would say Cardinal Doherty. So again, like I think my man Mitch has given me just carte blanche to just let it rock. But whatever, we'll maybe we'll workshop that too.
Thank
Hey,
God
let's keep going.
Thank God there aren't 10 trillion Philadelphians. Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh, the world would be so great. Let's keep going on picks. So we had the next big series, Texas at Texas Tech, number 2 at number 16. KR, speaking of your beat, what say you here?
I took the Horns. I just think Texas, I think they're a team that I think probably feels like people are kind of questioning them without Tanner Witt. And historically, they've played really well in Lubbock. So I think they're going to go on the road. They're obviously going to be offensive in that ballpark. And I think they're going to do enough in the first 2 games to wrap that series up. I think they win the first 2 games and win that series.
Fitzy?
It feels to me like Texas Tech is making one of those Timmy Tad's Texas Tech runs right now. They've just kind of quietly racked up win after win. And it's not maybe an elite schedule, but I mean, Iowa is a team that has some talent. They beat, split a couple games with those guys. Split
on the road too. That's like that couldn't have been pleasant.
Split a couple with Mississippi State and down in Biloxi. Kent State is a solid sweep, a midweek win against DBU. I mean, they're 18-4, and it just feels like a team that has figured it out. We had questions about them heading into the season. And I like the momentum factor that they've got going right now. Like ultimately at the end of the year, I still think Texas is probably going to be the better club. But right now, even though I know Texas had a get right weekend, right now I think Texas Tech's a better club.
Fitzy, let me ask you a question because this is where I'm struggling. Does it feel like a vintage Texas Tech roster?
No.
And they're still 18-4.
Yeah, and I think that's where my head's at. Is it just? And I watched them play the other night against Cal Baptist, and it's a lot of familiar names, but they're just not as talented as they've been in the past.
I think that's right.
I think especially on the mound. Now Birdsoul's really developed, and that changes things. But that's one game, and so I don't know. It just doesn't feel the same to me. But like Kendall said 3 months ago, like Timmy Tads, right? Like. In Timmy Tads we trust, and he figures out a way to win games. It's like just I don't know, death taxes and Timmy Tads wins college baseball games. But anyway, it's I don't 100% trust the roster yet, the talent level. But we'll see. Big weekend. I picked Texas. Clearly, go ahead.
Sorry, Runes, to cut you off. I agree with your points there. I mean, it is not a vintage. From what I can gather, it's not a vintage Texas Tech roster. I haven't seen them in person like Kendall has, but they always play well at home. They're going to be fired up for this series. That's a tough place to go play, and especially if you're playing maybe, if you're not sharp, and Texas has been up and down as we know the last couple of weeks. You better be sharp in that place.
Yeah, you better be mentally tough too. Like for the pitching staff. You're not prettying up your ERA this weekend. Like you better be able to take a punch.
Yep.
Because and I heard Mike Gustafson on the broadcast the other night, who's wonderful, by the way. Gus is the man. I heard him say that the forecast is that it will play offensive this weekend, and so. But I don't know. I kind of think Texas they can do that kind of party now.
They're actually
Yeah, I
more
mean,
offensive than Texas Tech, and maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. Am I crazy to say
yeah,
that?
I mean, Melendez continues to hit bombs. Murphy Staley's been red hot the last couple of weeks. I mean, Hodo has some power in that swing. I mean, Texas is pretty powerful.
By the way, if Murphy Staley gets in the home run race, which he's right on the cusp of that, his nickname is going to be Deuce. Just so you guys are
He
clear
was
on
really
that.
good in the fall.
Also, how about our man Trey? Got 6 home runs. He's hitting 333 with a 1069 ops. Our man Trey, D1 Player Society represent. He's getting it done.
Yes, very. And so, like, I feel like you could put him in a big league game right now, and he could play defense and be fine. And like he's big enough to hit for some power. He's interesting. So let's keep going. Vandy Chris, we'll come back to your comment in a second. Third series. This is another interesting one. LSU at Florida. Uh-oh. Did you guys see what happened? LSU at Florida? The entire staff picked the Gators. Oh no! Oh no!
Hate
It
that.
appears that the entire staff saw LSU's defense against A&M.
Oh gosh.
Also, I will point out the entire staff picked Georgia last week to beat Mississippi State, and that made me a little nervous too. But we were all right. So sometimes it's just the pick is the pick.
Yeah.
So my thing on this series is like, for LSU to win this series, they're going to have to go on the road and play good defense. They haven't played good defense a week in the entire season.
Yeah.
So, like, are they going to wake up and all of a sudden play great defense in Gainesville? I don't think that's going to happen. So, and if you don't play good defense in the SEC, you're going to lose.
You know what? I just traded text messages with Todd Walker, who's another all-time favorite. And obviously, him and Ben McDonald are super close to LSU. And what he said is that if you really think about it, LSU had a strike throwing problem last year as well. And then Jason Kelly kind of had gotten it under control this year, but it is flaring up. And it flared up against A&M. You tweeted it, Kendall. The way they lost that Louisiana Tech game last night was just,
that was ridiculous.
I mean, Jay Johnson hasn't slept since. There's no way.
Well, another thing too is like I don't think A&M's very good. Like, I mean, I guess we'll see as the season progresses, but I don't think A&M's very good. And like they should have gotten swept. Like A&M left 15 runners on base in the final game of that series and lost by 1 run.
Yep.
So they could have very easily gotten swept. And they obviously looked terrible last night, late in the game against La Tech. I want to say they went walk. Was it like walk, single, walk, some like pass ball? I mean, it was brutal. It was bad.
Yeah. Hey, and I'll say this as we turn the page to Florida. I mean, I guess before we turn the page on Florida, I think you can make an argument that actually LSU's problem is offense right now, because I just think their pitching and defense can only come so far. But like they're scoring 5 or 6 runs a game a lot. Like that's not who they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting too. Like if you look at their lineup against like Brandon Sproat, he's a guy that Fitt kind of wrote about last week. That he throws really hard, but the stuff still needs to be refined. You kind of look at that as maybe like an opportunity for LSU to kind of get back on track a little bit against a velo guy who still is trying to find himself a little bit.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, it's you hate to say that guy who throws 99 miles an hour it's a light 99, but it kind of is. I mean, he didn't miss. I think he missed he might have gotten 3 swing and miss, with a fastball that's 97, 99. I mean, it's just not overpowering. And that's a vulnerability for me for Florida. I still need to see more from Spro. And, and I know it's maybe not fair to him because he was really good the week before. And I think he had been better really the season to this point. And then I saw him and he kind of reverted to last year's Sproat. But I mean, what I saw was the same guy I saw last year. And so we'll see. But all that said, Florida's really offensive. I mean, and their offense is hotter than LSU's. They can score runs in a hurry. They can beat you with a long ball, but also it's a team that, their park doesn't play nearly as offensive as their old park did. And so they've kind of adjusted their style a little bit. They can push the action a little more. I think they can be aggressive on the base pass. They have guys that can run, Colby Halter and Judd Fabian, and Sherlyn Thompson runs fine. But even like Wyatt Langford and BT Riot Bell, like those guys are picking their spots and stealing bases last weekend at Alabama. And Florida plays much better defense, obviously, than LSU. Everybody does, but Florida's a good defensive team, and Florida's got the best pitcher in the country I'm going to say, in Hunter Barco. I just think that gives him such an advantage on Friday nights. That guy is the real deal. My concern with Florida at this point is the bullpen a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
they're still trying to figure out those combinations. They got a couple of drop down guys that are doing a nice job. Blake Purnell being one that's kind of emerged as a key piece at the back. And I like what I saw from Ryan Slater, the redshirt freshman. That could be an emerging guy, but they're still trying to figure out those combinations. But all that said, their pitching's in better shape, their defense is in better shape, and their offense is in better shape than LSU's right now. So and they're at home. I mean, I don't know. This just maybe this is one of those weekends where it's kind of a gut test for LSU. We'll see what they're made of. This is a tough one.
Hey Fitzy, what is I get two things for both of you guys. So, but the first question is more for you, Fitzy. Figueroa is kind of a softer version of Purnell. He's kind of lower and lighter. Is Slater more traditional? Like I feel like I heard him compared to Michael Byrne. Is that right? Is that who he is?
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, he's that kind of a look, traditional look, 1992 guy. Good slider, like a short kind of mid 80s slider. I mean, that's kind of his pitch. He throws that a lot, but I don't think I saw Figueroa much lighter than Purnell. I think they're both in that kind of 88, 90 range. I mean, they're both pretty good guys. A lot of sink. They're going to get their ground balls. Got to play defense behind them.
I felt like when I saw Figueroa, his was just lower. Like it was like if I had to characterize it, Purnell is kind of like side, and then Figueroa's even
maybe
lower
subby.
than that.
Yeah, he may be subby.
Yeah. So Kendall, I'll defer this question to you, but Fitzy, feel free to comment. I'm not overwhelmed by Florida's roster. Like I like it; they're very talented, but I like the cut of their jib this year. Like I like the vibe. Like I feel like they've got their swagger back a little bit. Are you guys seeing that too, or am I imagining things?
I will say this. I mean, I think when you look at Florida overall, I like to see trends, right? And so I think when you look at Florida, they get kicked in the teeth a little bit against Liberty, against Miami. They lost the middle game of that series, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Palmquist beat Barco, didn't he?
Did they win the first one?
Yeah, I thought they won the first one. I thought Palmquist beat Barco, and then
right.
Florida. But they used Walters a ton in that game. Like
so they came the way they played that Sunday game. I thought told me a lot about this team. Like they came out and like kind of asserted themselves early in that game and absolutely dominated Miami in that finale. And I think that kind of told you a little bit something about this team because that was not the response last year against Miami. So I thought that told me something.
Yep, I'm with you. Hey, let's do before we'll do Vandy Chris's question, and I think you guys are both qualified to answer that one. I want to mention this to everyone listening. David Seifert put a piece on the site, I think today, called Control Artists, kind of a compliment to the heat sheet. Freaking awesome. It was so cool. Just kind of pumping up strike throwers. Oh man, it was awesome. It was so cool to see those kids recognized. So well done by our director of credibility, David Seifert. Not shocking. Go ahead, Fitzy.
And there are some guys that have really put up eye-popping strikeout walk numbers right now. It's pretty cool to see that. And I think it's Danny Garcia at Stetson who's got no walks in 26 innings. He tops the list. But how about the power pitchers like Jonathan Cannon? He's got just one walk in 34 innings, and his strikeout rate's pretty high.
Yeah.
So that
was against GT too.
Yeah, and Barco too. Also, 2 walks in 31 innings, and he's got a lot of strikeouts too. So that really stands out to me.
That's awesome. Hey, what do you guys think? So Vandy Chris's question is: so Vandy will be going for 19 straight in Game 2 of the series. Carter Holton versus Will Sanders. What do you think? Is Holton beating Sanders?
Yes.
I'll say this: Sanders was not very good against Tennessee. I'm all in on Will Sanders. I texted somebody over the weekend like Will Sanders a big leaguer. Like I am as sure as I'm sitting here, I'm certain of it. But he sprayed the heck out of his fastball against Tennessee, and you can't do that, especially at that park.
Vanderbilt's offense is really locked in right now. Holton's really locked in right now. He looked awesome last weekend. If you saw those highlights, this team has won how many? 15, 16 in a row. I think it's 16 in a row. And
17 in a row now.
17 in a row.
It's about to be 18. Yeah.
Yeah. They're up 9-0 as we record this here against South Carolina. Yeah. It's just I think overall momentum for that team right now. Even if Sanders, he's really good, so is Holton, but Vanderbilt's just so much better than South Carolina.
Yep. I think that's fair. Let's keep going on weekend series. So the next one is, how about that? Everybody went Gators. Virginia at Wake Forest. This is an awesome one. And Fitzy, you're going to be there for a decent part of this, right?
Yeah, I think so. Right now, I think I'm gonna be there Saturday at least, and then TBD Sunday, depending on how series stand. But yeah, that's a good matchup. I mean, and Wake Forest is a team that has surprised me, I think, offensively, unusually, because you generally think of Wake as an offensive program, but I kind of thought that their pitching was their strength heading into the season, and their pitching's been good, but they've really swung the bats. I mean, I saw a graphic today; they ranked top 10 in the country and like all the relevant offensive stats. Now, part of that is inflated by the schedule that they've played, but now they're into conference play. They're seeing some arms. They played Florida State and they beat the heck out of Georgia Tech, one of those games down there in Atlanta. That's going to be a really good test for both those teams, because they both scored a ton of runs in the non-conference and kind of kept it going in conference too. And so you would think in that ballpark, whatever the over-under is, I'm going to take the over. But there's some pretty good pitching talent there too. So I think that's a very intriguing matchup.
Yeah, Kendall. By the way, it's you, me, and Stitch on like planting our flag on Wake Forest.
Dude,
so
I've always been all about Wake Forest.
Why do you hate the Who's, Kendall?
Oh gosh,
you talked about the vibe of some of these teams earlier. I kind of like the vibe of Wake Forest, from Cam Minacci out of the bullpen and kind of his craziness, and Brock Wilken had 2 bombs in one game over the weekend. Nick Kurtz, I want to say, had five hits in one of those games over the weekend against GT. So they're getting a lot of production. Rhett Lauder has been really solid for them this year. Josh Hartle's been good, and they've got enough bullpen pieces. They look like a really well-rounded team right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I struggled with this one. I think I might have gone back and forth 3 times on this. I really like both teams. I didn't know what to do. I kind of just defaulted to the home team here because Wake is, they could have easily won that series with Florida State. They could be sitting pretty in the ACC. So, I don't think either team's perfect. Nobody really is, but I just think there's a lot to learn this weekend. Like I think it's gonna be a really fun series to observe. But ultimately, I just, used the home team as a tiebreaker. By the way, go ahead, Kendall.
I was just going to say, Virginia fans are probably going to put a big X on my name if they win that series this weekend. I picked against them again. So I'm fully prepared for that.
I think I'm in good shape in Charlottesville just because, Newtown Edgemont Little League did birth Chris Newell. So I think they have to show a little bit of gratitude for that.
I mean, I thought I was in good shape up there. I thought I'd built up 18 years of goodwill, but apparently not. So. I should do a heel turn right now and just pick the Deeks, just to give it to these people. I should just totally embrace the villainhood.
Oh gosh! By the way, boys, one more Texas Tech sidelight, and then I promise I'll move on. Like the most Timmy Tadlock thing ever. Ty Coleman been a 250 hitter for all 10 years that he's been in college baseball, and now he's hitting 350 and 4-hole, just raking at Texas Tech. Like that's so Tim Tadlock. Kurt Wilson has been a right-handed pitcher and a corner outfielder. Oh, now he's our shortstop. That is such the junior college coach in Tim Tadlock. Give him athletes and just watch him work his magic.
Well, in the fall, he gave me like a list of 5 guys that could be their starting shortstops. So it kind of gives you an idea where he's coming from.
Yeah, I love it. They did lose the guy they wanted in the draft, which is unusual for them, but we digress. That's my fault. Hey, let's keep going. So Georgia Tech at NC State. Wow, look at this. 8 of the 9 of us picking the home Wolfpack. The only Georgia Tech selection was Shotgun Spratling. Fitzy, what is wrong with the staff at D1Baseball?
We're stupid, Runes.
So how about that? Like every one of us is bailed on Georgia Tech except for Shotgun.
Well, for me, this is more of I can't speak for anyone else. For me, it's a vote of confidence in NC State. Cornered. They played well in Tallahassee. They had that thing, in the finale, like in the 12th inning, they had a 2-run lead, just couldn't finish it out. But like, it feels like they're due. It just feels like they're due.
Yeah.
And Georgia Tech has issues on the mound. This again feels like a high scoring series, but I actually like NC State's pitching still, just with Highfield, Willardson, and Villeman, those 3 guys in particular, and then just figure it out beyond that. But those 3 guys just give them such an advantage, I think, against Georgia Tech. And
they got everybody back this weekend, pitching wise.
As far as I know, Highfield and Willardson are both listed as probables.
Oh, okay, good.
So that, assuming that's right, then yeah, I would expect it to be back to full strength.
And Chandler Simpson is out for Tech right now. Did he break his wrist or something, or what was it? What's his? I feel like he's out. Do I have that right?
I don't know.
I think I saw that too somewhere. Sounds like we're doing a really good job on our beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll say this, not to be cliche here, but after series losses to Northeastern, Notre Dame, and Florida State, I don't want to go to Doak and corner a wolf.
Oh, or a pack of wolves.
A pack of wolves. Even you might as well
Plural.
just go. You might as well turn around and go back home.
Yeah. I think for me, Fitzy nailed it, right? Like they look themselves in Tallahassee, which was really the
Yes.
important thing. And if that's the case, then they're going to win series. And JT Jarrett is back playing. That's important. He's their defensive quarterback. So
Tommy White had a couple of bombs.
yeah, we're good.
So.
We're good. They're not going to lose every series.
It
Go
does
ahead,
look
Fitzy.
like Simpson's been out. I was looking for an update, and I can't find one. Come on, AJC.
Where did I read that?
This is their beat. This is the AJC's beat. You need to own this. I need some reports on this.
I feel like Martha failed me on this one.
Martha.
What are you going to do? Hey, North Carolina's at Miami, and this is kind of fun. We've never kind of listed out the picks before. Only two of us picked the Tar Heels, the ubiquitous Stitchhead, and then Patrick Ebert, the great Peebert. So the rest of us are Miami Hurricanes this week. Maybe it's like we're like umpires that just got blasted by a coach, and now it's makeup call central. Yeah. 7 of the 9 of us picking Miami. Kendall, what say you? What's your conviction here?
Well, I think Carson Palmquist, as we kind of all expected, right? He bounced back nicely last weekend against Clemson. They played really well the first 2 games. It got blown out the last game. I thought that said more to me about Clemson than it did Miami. But they played really well last week, and I think Palmquist probably gets them a win in the series opener. And I like the back end pieces they have with Andrew Walters and Gage Zill.
Fitzy, what say you here?
Yeah, I just think Miami's playing pretty well right now, and they're at home. Just don't overthink it. Usually in a matchup between teams that I think are fairly evenly matched.
Yep.
I look at momentum. I look at who's the home team, and right now I like the way Miami's been playing, and I like the fact that they're at home. So.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys would agree with this, but these ACC matchups are really fun because they're really hard to delineate. Like these teams feel like it's a razor's edge how close they are. And, North Carolina, I had their game Saturday last week, and Max Carlson looked great, but then left the game with a blister. So I don't know what that looks like. I think it's Brandon Schaefer, their Friday night guy. Even Scott Forbes will tell you, hey, he's just a pitch to contact guy. This is not a bat misser on Friday night. And their position player group's still on the younger side. I mean, the talent is loud, but outside of like Angel Zarate, there's a lot of guys that are first or second year players, and that in today's college baseball, that's young. So they're not babies, but
they've got Soretti. And the one thing I like is that all those second year guys, played last year. I mean, Castanyazi and Frick and Horvath.
And they looked better for it, for sure.
Yes, they all gained valuable experience, and I think they've come into their own. I mean, I think it's a really good position player group. I think North Carolina has the better position player group than Miami, for sure, for me.
Yeah.
Just talking with people about Miami, it sounds like there's only maybe a couple of guys there that scare you. I mean, maybe, Morales and Kafis, and beyond that, it's a lot of guys who are fairly pitchable. So, but it just, I'm kind of with Kendall here. I like the way Miami can match up on the mound.
Yeah, the top of Miami's roster can play with anybody in any league, and I would even throw Romero. At least the look I had, Romero and Burke were excellent. Yo-Yo Morales is just very hyper aggressive right now. Like he just gets himself out over and over again. But boy, he's scary. I mean, it's a scary looking hitter. Romero's at bats are great. Burke's a great athlete. Kafis is a baller. He's like a modern Mark Kotze. But then the lineup is very nondescript at the bottom. Just a bunch of guys that I really don't have a good feel for yet. Dominic Patelli is putting up numbers, but I don't think that's necessarily who he is. Like he's not very big. He's run into some balls. So, but North Carolina, to your point, Fitzy, very deep roster. I mean, they've got a depth of talent. It feels a little old school North Carolina to me, where it's just very, very talented players everywhere. So yeah, very interesting. All right, so we're very much Mark Late Shake Central this week. Maryland at DBU. That's another great selection right here. So we had 3 Maryland selections. That was me, Shotgun, and Peebert. Everybody else DBU. What do you think, KR? Why'd you go DBU here? Muted.
I just like their vibe. I think they've played really well the last couple of weeks. I think that Southern Miss series kind of got them back on track. And, once again, I mean, they're continuing to win games. With Jace Grady still, hitting was like 230, 240 right now. Like he hasn't even gotten red hot, and they're still winning games. So I just think DBU is starting to play like the team that we had preseason ranked. And when they're at home, as Aaron's kind of alluded to with some of these other series against a good team like Maryland, I still think they'll win the series. But keep an eye on Maryland's pitching; it's really good.
Yes,
Fitzy, I was discouraged to see you pick against Maryland. However, I need to pick opposite you if I'm ever going to climb back in this thing at times, and so I'm taking a shot on the Terps here. But was it close here, or were you fairly convicted on DBU?
Yeah, no, I think it's 3 really good pitching matchups, and DBU is one of the teams that I think can maybe go toe to toe, with Maryland in the rotation, with Jacob Metter and Ryan Johnson and Luke Eldred, and those are 3 real good weekend arms. I like the bullpen arms. I really like what I've seen from Chandler Arnold, watching them on film, and like I've said a couple of times this week, I think. Yeah, it feels like we're still not anywhere close to DBU playing to their capacity. I mean, several of their veteran bats, Grady, you mentioned Kendall, but also like a Nate Romback or an Andrew Benefield. These guys, if you look at their numbers, they're not right now where they were expected to be, and I think where they will be at the end of the year. And so this team's going to get hot offensively. They'll be even more dangerous. But right now, they've got the pitching, and so does Maryland. And I would expect this to be a low-scoring series, unlike some of the other ones we've talked about. There's just not that much good pitching to go around. And so the teams that have it, especially weekend horses that can give you length, that stands out. And both these teams do. I think this is a fun series.
Okay, so I'm going to go shock jock on you guys. I'm going to go – I got a take caliente here. If Maryland doesn't win this series, here's the problem. The Big Ten is starting to look like a 2-bid league. I mean, that league's got a – I mean, there has been some ugly, ugly results. And the shining star right now, Purdue, they look really fun. It's a good club, but their strength of schedule is just heinous. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean – I don't know, like it doesn't feel possible that the Big Ten is a more than a 2-bid league. And I might be being generous, chucking a second bid in there. Like, I don't know. Someone's got to win those league games, but their non-conference has been unspectacular, and that's generous, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they've been unimpressive, and I kind of wrote about this in what we learned earlier in the week. Like, they've been extremely unimpressive. Michigan's got a couple of 2-loss weekends. But I will say this, it's entirely too early to look at RPI. But I just kind of glanced at it when you mentioned the bids. But, I mean, Maryland's at 22, Michigan's at 33, Purdue's at 42, Rutgers 53. And Jake Boss's Michigan State club, they might be the surprise here. They're at 55 with a 10-7 overall record. So, I mean, they've got teams that are within striking distance with one more week to go until the midseason mark.
Yeah, but, here's the thing. I don't really care about what the RPI says. I don't care at all what the RPI says right now. What I care more about is your win-loss record, because that's the part of the formula that's baked in. And if you're 10-7 with a 55 RPI and week 5, you're not in good shape. You need to have more wins. Yeah. I mean, and the fact that everyone in their conference, it seems like, except for the top 3 teams, everyone is around 500, or well below 500 in the case of Minnesota and Northwestern. Minnesota, again, we thought they were going to be considerably better, but boy, they're just 55-15. That's a drag on the league.
253 in the RPI.
Yeah, it's Runes. I think you're onto something here. It's probably looking like a 2-bid league, and it's a long way to go. Somebody can get hot, but boy, generally speaking, if you're going to be a 3 or 4-bid league, you need to do better in non-conference, and they just have not.
Yeah, Nebraska, was a preseason Big Ten favorite for obvious reasons, and I had major concerns about them when I saw them against Sam Houston State earlier in the year. They did not look very good. And Nebraska's coming off a series loss to A&M Corpus at home. So brutal.
The Islanders.
Yeah, but and think of it, guys. Like you're gonna have to take a third Big Ten team over like an 8th or 9th ACC team. That doesn't feel like the right choice right now. Like I'm super geeked up about the ACC and its depth, and I'm super confused about the Big Ten. So, and you're right, Kendall, you're very right to bring up Nebraska. I think the Nebraska results are really jarring for the league because think about how good Nebraska was in the postseason last year. I mean, they were absolutely trading punches with Arkansas. Yeah. And yeah, so anyway, by the way, Vandy Chris, I see your question back to Tennessee. Is there any word on the return of either Seth Halverson or Blade Tidwell? I would direct you to Wes Rucker.
Yes.
Wes Rucker on Twitter has got a good update on that 12 hours ago.
Tidwell 2 or 3 more weeks.
Yeah, it was more mysterious on Halverson. Oh, huge! It's like the Will Bednar of this year. I still think Will Bednar not pitching early was a huge advantage for Mississippi State late. He was one of the freshest pitchers in Omaha.
Yep.
So very good. All right, let's keep going. So, this is another fun one. UCLA at Arizona. Oh, look at Coach Rooney on an island. Somebody throw me a life raft.
I am shocked by that pick. I think Arizona is an atrocious matchup for UCLA.
Okay, so tell me why.
Well, UCLA is not overly offensive. I mean, outside of about 2 or 3 guys, that lineup doesn't scare you. You got Crush Davis over here just pimping home runs left and right. They can hit top to bottom in that lineup. And I actually think Arizona's pitching's good. I mean, like TJ Nichols is a solid weekend starter. Dawson Nets is good. Garrett Irvin has pitched a lot of innings. And I think they actually match up favorably against UCLA from a pitching standpoint.
What about
I think Arizona wins. I think Arizona wins big.
What about that UCLA team you saw in Minute Maid, KR? Like they were. Have you forgotten about that? What happened? Did someone Men in Black your memory?
No, it's called losing 2 out of 3 to USC.
Yeah, that was disappointing. All right, I have thoughts, but Fitzy, what say you on this one? You picked Arizona as well.
Yeah, I mean. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm right in the hot hand. Absolutely, I am.
You just picked them because I picked them.
They just swept Stanford.
Right.
Rather unceremoniously, I would say. Well, I mean, okay, 2 of those games were close games, but that last game, they just kind of dropped the hammer. And they're at home, and they're a tough team to beat at home. And like Kendall said, I mean, it feels like a bad matchup for UCLA. Just talk about 2 teams that are built for totally different environments. I mean, the way Jackie Robinson Stadium plays and the way High Corbett plays, just complete opposites. I'm typically going to take the home team in this matchup every year, whoever the home team is.
I'll say this, Runes. If Arizona, and it's not exactly going on like a huge limb here, but if Arizona finds a way to host both rounds of the postseason, they're like a lock to get back to Omaha for me with the way that offense is at home.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think it's fair, right? It's like I actually think I think you're right. Like I had the same thought, Kendall, with a different team. I think the biggest lock for Omaha this year, right now, as we sit here, and just bear with me because it's going to be Captain Obvious, is Tennessee, because their park is such a joke. Like I don't know how you're beating Tennessee in that.
They played a Little League park, in case you haven't heard.
And they're on pace for 150.
Hold on, I've got a text to Chris from Louisville that he needs to be watching this.
I'm always pumping Berkey up about his 20 home runs, SEC Player of the Year.
Can you just go ahead and say your number out loud so Tony Vitello can call you?
I say this to Berkey so that I kind of don't get in his bad graces. I say that his son Eli, his freshman year, because Eli of the Burke boys is the strong one. Jackson, his oldest, is more finesse. His son Eli is built like a bull. Eli is going to hit 50 home runs his freshman year at Tennessee, because I've actually told Berkey that Eli could hit. Eli, I think, is 6 or 7 years old. I've told Berkey I think Eli could hit 10 home runs at Tennessee right now as a 7-year-old, but we digress.
I'll say this. I saw Blake Burke for them hit a bomb into the second deck at Minute Maid. I don't think it matters really this year whether they're playing there or they're playing in Omaha. They're hitting bombs.
Yeah. I just think they're I don't know how you beat them there. It just, like you have I mean, I guess maybe an offense like a Wright State sneaks in there and they almost pulled it off. Now, could they have pulled it off multiple times? I don't know that I'm as convicted about that, because Kentucky does have great depth on their roster also. But here's the thing, Kendall, like UCLA, you're right. Like they're a serious underdog. However, I did witness with my own eyes teams with good right-handed pitching. Arizona is extremely right-handed because Chase Davis is very streaky, right? Like there's a lot of extra base hits in there. There's a lot of swing and miss in there too. And Tyler Casagrande has not gotten going at all. I mean, they're basically one left-handed hitter in the lineup most nights. And so I'm banking on UCLA's right-handed pitching. You know, Thatcher Hurd seems like a real dude. And maybe, I'm talking myself into it, the field actually helps elevate UCLA's offense a little bit.
Yep,
There's a few more hits there. You know, it's kind of the Fullerton thing where, you know, so I know, you know, but there's a reason why 8 of you picked Arizona and I'm the only one.
Well, it's like when people used to go like back in the old like Big 12 days, and it's like everybody, you know, the joke was that, you know, if you want your offense to kind of break open, you go out to Lubbock. You go play Texas Tech in Lubbock. And so maybe that's the, you know, one of those kind of things. I'm surprised you didn't mention that my man Kenny Yoyama hit a home run the other night.
Yeah, we do not need him doing that. We need him on base stealing bags.
It was a line drive. I was hoping. So I saw a tweet that he hit a home run. I was hoping whenever I clicked on the video, there was like an absolute like Crush Davis type of bomb. No, it like barely cleared the fence. I was a little disappointed, but it was awesome. I think it was against LMU, his former team.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Exactly who it was. Hey, by the way, because we've been going a while, boys, so the last 2 series, Charlotte at Old Dominion, USC at Oregon, we are going to be bulletin more material. All 9 of us picked Old Dominion at home against Charlotte. All 9 of us picked Oregon at Oregon at home against USC. I'll make this comment on the Charlotte ODU thing. I feel like I've heard you say, Fitzy, that Charlotte's a little banged up right now. And even if they were even Steven, I'd probably still pick Old Dominion. But hearing that Charlotte is not, you know, Charlotte's it's not been a blistering start for them. And for Old Dominion, it has been a blistering start. So that felt like a fairly easy pick to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Charlotte is getting closer to healthier. I know David McCabe's back in the lineup for him. Austin Knight, you know, right there with them. That's still I mean, between and Josh Madole, I think, was the other key piece who had been out for a little bit. That they think is really a key cog in their lineup. They now, just looking at their lineup from the other day, I mean, it looks like they're just about full strength offensively, which is huge. But we'll see, you know, on the mound how all that shapes up. I mean, I think that's a tough Old Dominion lineup to stop. This one feels like another very offensive series. 2 really talented and experienced clubs that have power and can beat you a variety of different ways, and maybe some more question marks on the mound. But I actually think Charlotte has played pretty well since the first 2 weeks there. I mean, really, even the first week they beat UConn and USF. I mean, they've only had 1 losing weekend against West Virginia. So I'm a little surprised that there's you know, nobody picked Charlotte. I like Old Dominion's team a lot, and they're at home again, so just kind of deferred to that. But I mean, this one I could see going either way. I do like that Charlotte club.
Yeah, you know what's really interesting about ODU too is, you know, we talked about Brad Bombs and Tommy Tanks and all these guys. You know, Mr. Wonderful. We talked about those 3 guys. I can't believe I just said that out loud. But you know, keep it on.
KR,
yeah, exactly. See, blonde squirrel. But yeah, you look at like Andy Garriola, like he has 9 homers. Like he's right in the middle of that home run mix too. So they're Robbie Petracci, Andy Garriola. They've got a lot of seasoned veterans in that lineup. And I will say this about ODU, and this is the only reason, this is the only caveat with this team for me. We were talking about strength of schedule earlier. 278th in the country right now for ODU.
That's not awesome. Hey, it's going to get stiffer. Conference USA is
no
for
doubt.
real.
That league's good.
League. Yeah, it is. Hey, I'll just tell you guys this about USC. We've talked about Oregon a lot. Incredible offensive group. It's, you know, Oregon is Tennessee West, right? They're not as good on the mound, but they are very talented on the mound. But Mark Wasikowski's cut from the same cloth as Tony Vitello. You know, a younger head coach who's got tremendous recruiting chops in his background. But USC is interesting at the top. Tyrese Turner, DeAndre Smith, Rylan Thomas. They've got 3 critters at the top that are really torment the other team, and they're good players. They're just not very physical, and so I don't think that's a walk for Oregon, but I just think Oregon's too good, and they're at home.
And what's amazing to me about Oregon is that, you know, for years And this isn't necessarily an indictment on George Horton. Like, I'm not bagging on Coach Horton, but for years the whole thing in Eugene was, oh, well, we play at PK Park. It's hard to be offensive here. And like, what has Waz done? Like, you've got Brennan Malone right now hitting 367 with 5 bombs. Like, the guy did absolutely nothing at South Carolina, and all of a sudden he's like erupted at Oregon. Colby Shea, Drew Cowley, like up and under their lineup. They're like a really, really balanced lineup after for like a decade we were told that people can't hit up there.
Hey, by the way, Waz did take some of that Nike money and move the fences in, which I love.
Yes, I was going to say
That's
they
true,
got new turf and shorter fences, which something that George wanted to do for a long time.
I'm sure.
Because it was just that place would just destroy hitters' confidence, and anyone who's seen a game there, the way it used to be configured, like it was a graveyard. That place, it's a great place to pitch, but boy, I mean, it makes it hard for hitters to even get anything going mentally. Even when you're playing that small game and you like buy in on the, all right, we're gonna bunt, but it's still like you gotta be able to find some hits just to for your own psyche, and it was just hard there.
Hey, by the way, boys, we'll wrap on this. We'll keep talking about the home run race. It's one of the fun things we got in college baseball this year. Ivan Melendez, the Hispanic Titanic, not to be confused with the Jewish Hindenburg. He is he's at 10 home runs now. So the big Ivan is in the mix. And you know who else is in the mix, KR? Judson Fabian, double-digit home runs, who's having a heck of a year. By the way, it's so cool when kids bet on themselves and put it up. So that is that we've already got one for Ivan, clearly. But we got to workshop Judson Fabian, not on this call. This is takeaway homework. Fabes has got, I don't know, like Judson's
I feel
fun,
like the doctor, like I feel like I could see somebody getting like a PA and going, Dr. Fabian, please come to the front. The doctor?
I like where you're going with an intercom. That kind of gets me thinking. But yes, that's our takeaway homework.
Hashtag getting loopy, Roon.
We'll work on it. This has been a loopy podcast, start to finish tonight.
I love it. Very good. We're all still high from Fitzy's concert the other night. Just hanging out with the kids.
We did. So that happened to us one year. We went to a Santana concert here.
Oh boy.
We walk out of there, and my wife goes, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure we might have inhaled some smoke in this place."
That's great.
Oh, and this was in Asheville, North Carolina, so you can use your imaginations about what was going on in that place.
Hey, by the way, boys, I hope I'm not sharing state secrets here, but okay, so this weekend I'm supposed to have Notre Dame, Virginia Tech on Sunday, and I was supposed to go to Notre Dame, high of 37. I mean, of course, thrilled to go to my alma mater. I've got several of my roommates actually have kids that are students at Notre Dame now, so that was going to be really fun. But we're we're doing it from home now because they're having all kinds of weather issues. But this is really cool. This, the beauty of calling games from your home. So what I'm being told is that if we don't do Notre Dame, Virginia Tech Sunday at noon because of the weather, we might get kicked over to Virginia, Wake Forest. I mean, how cool is that? Like that. The rubber, and how's your guys' weather? Are you guys in good shape, Fitzy?
I mean, I think actually Saturday, Sunday are going to be a little cool, highs in the high 50s, but we'll take that. It's playable.
Yeah, I mean, so anyway, like how awesome would that be? Like I got Notre Dame, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is a super intriguing club with a backup plan of Virginia, Wake Forest. I mean,
make sure in that broadcast to sound like you actually believe in Notre Dame a little bit.
Hey, I'm Mr. Positive. I mean, I'm going to be all in on the Fighting Irish. But I will tell you that, and you may catch this in my voice, like Notre Dame, I feel like I've got a pretty good feel for who they are, and they're good. Virginia Tech has got my juices flowing. Like I am pumped about that team. Like that, Drew Hackenberg, the freshman, just seems like this one of those really cool college baseball discoveries. He's up to 95. He's not walking anybody. Yeah, I mean. It's funny. Gavin Cross is this guy who's going to be the high pick, and he's like the fourth name you get to as far as like who's carrying the freight this year.
Jack Hurley's been really good, and Tanner Scoble's been really good too, hasn't he, Roots?
Very good, yeah. Made 2 errors in 20 games or whatever it is, and hitting for power. He's got 10 extra base hits. Yeah, they're the
he's
catcher.
Like that. He's like that Nolan Fontana type shortstop for me. They're just like he is a natural born winner, makes the plays, plays above his tools. He's a really good player.
Yep, yeah, they're good. Bittison's healthy too. That's another big development for them. 4-year player, and that they feel like that's a Cade Hunter's healthy, their catcher. He's very offensive. So anyway, very good, gentlemen. Well done. Happy Thursday. We enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Have a great weekend. And that's it. We will catch everyone next week on the podcast. Kendall, we're going to do a space this weekend, probably. Look out for that.
Yeah, we're going to try to do a Twitter space with my man Steven Schock tomorrow night. I haven't talked to him in a few days, so I'm sure he'll have a lot of good zingers for us. Yeah, actually, I know he hasn't been around because I haven't heard from him about picking his Virginia again.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, thankfully, we what did we say tonight? Did everyone pick Virginia?
Should somebody check on and make sure he's okay? Well, I guess we haven't published the picks yet, Kendall. That's why he isn't giving you a hard time yet. We haven't posted the picks yet.
That's right.
I'm just gonna go ahead and put my phone on silent as we speak.
Thank you, Martha. Hey, make sure everyone please subscribe to our D1 Baseball channel on YouTube, and that's it.